You are listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network.
وتجلي من هناك لشوارزنيجر
Va a pegarle Ronaldinho Gaucho. Ya lo hace. Pierna derecha, directo al arco. ¡Golazo! 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 ¡Golazo!
This is Soccer Today, live on SPN Radio, your new live show about the beautiful game in all its glory, with Duane, Rollins and Kevin Laramee. MLS, EPL, La Liga, Champions League, all is fair game. Powered by the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us at sportspodcastingnetwork.com.
Good day, good night, and welcome to Soccer Today. Kevin Laramee here. Duane is on assignment. He might be joining us in a few minutes. It's getting close for the United States. U.S. men's national team playing tomorrow. World Cup qualifiers in the hexagonal. The fifth and final round of qualification for CONCACAF. We'll take a look at the game in the region. That will maybe tell us more. And we'll take a look at the standings as well. It's not looking good before this game for the United States, but now under Bruce Arena, a lot of injuries, but still under Bruce Arena, we'll see what this team can do in the World Cup qualifying versus Honduras Friday in San Jose. So we'll talk about this. We'll take a look at the news. A couple of interesting news are happening right now in the world of Major League Soccer and the rest of the world. It's international break this weekend, so no top flight soccer. So we will take a look at the World Cup qualifiers. But a funny story in Atlanta, funny, not necessarily funny like aha funny, but a cute story. There's a station, the first station soccer field, Atlanta. There's a soccer field close to a MARTA station in the Atlanta region. Players can go there, play. There's technology to record the game. It's for the kids as well. It's for the Soccer in the Street local nonprofit that uses soccer to benefit underserved youth. There's a great article you can find here on southeastmarketsatlanta.com. Just go to Reddit/MLS. You'll find the article. It's quite a nice little stadium. I would love to have that in my city. There is similar things in Montreal and other cities in North America, but this time around, a grass pitch and a subway station where, you know, you finish your day's work, you come to the station, you change quickly, you go play your game. You watch your game on your phone because there's recording capabilities. You watch the game on your phone, you have a little pint, you go back home, and all is well. You've got your soccer game squeezed in your commuting schedule, and all is well with the rest of the world. That's kind of the benefit that I see, and I wish I had that in my own city here in Montreal, and I wish you had that in your own city across North America, wherever you are. Remember last weekend we've talked about the refereeing, we've talked about the yellows for the descent. We have some confirmation and an article written by Pro Training and Development Manager Paul Reger yesterday. Dissent is once again one of the main points of emphasis for 2017. During our preseason preparations, officials were instructed not to allow dissent. A Major League Soccer and a professional referee organization representative, along with a referee, visited every MLS teams at their preseason camps in February to explain the points of emphasis and to reinforce that dissent would not be tolerated. Therefore, it should not come as any surprise that if a player is guilty of dissent, the individual will receive a yellow card, and instances of using offensive, insulting, or abusive language and or gestures will result in a red card. Play of the Week 3 of the 2017 series features one instance of dissent and one of using offensive, insulting, or abusive language, which resulted in dire consequences for the player concerned, as they, end result was they were both sent off. In the first example, from the Vancouver Whitecaps versus Toronto FC, we see Whitecaps Breck Shea correctly cautioned for a reckless foul tackle on Toronto's Nick Haglund. When referee Ismail Efta shows Shade the yellow card, the player responds with words that, if you look at the reaction of Efta, clearly shocks him. When he repeats those words, the referee immediately shows Shade a red card. In the second example, from Real Salt Lake versus LA Galaxy, when referee Soren Stoica awards a free kick for a foul committed by Galaxy's Jermaine Jones, RSL's Luke Mulholland reacts by pushing Jones, for which Stoica correctly admonishes a yellow card. You can see Mulholland's teammate Cal Beckerman say something to the referee, which again, from the body language of Stoica, is dissent, for which he warns him. When he continues, Beckerman receives a yellow. Beckerman not even involved in the play here. Just a bystander that was talking, mouthing to the referee, got a yellow. Then 10 minutes later, Beckerman clips Galaxy's Joao Pedro from behind and stops a promising attack, for which he deservedly receives a second yellow card and is consequently sent off. In both cases, the referee were subject to language that was unacceptable, and in neither case did they overreact. Referees can and will allow a certain amount of frustration from players, but you can see it is only when the players continued or repeated the dissent/offensive, insulting, or abusive language they were shown a red card. A card. Players and referees have a responsibility to show respect to each other. Sanctions for mistimed tackles are understandable and part of the game. However, there can be no justifiable complaint when players put their team in jeopardy when they are sent off as a result of dissent, offensive, insulting, or abusive language. Referees should not be subject to it or allow it, and EFTA and Stoica have sent out a strong message by dealing with it as per the points of emphasis and the messages clearly given at preseason camps. Interesting comments by Pro Referee Organization and the head of development for Pro, Paul Ridger. So that's pretty much what we were talking about earlier this week with the Brian Dunseth and Duane and I. We're talking about when there's a directive by MLS, especially in the offseason and in the training, when referees are told to act a certain way, agree or not, they will act a certain way. And that's what I've seen in the first few weeks of Major League Soccer. There is some truth, there is some validity with those comments. I do feel those comments are valid. But again, if there was microphones on the pitch for everybody, if everybody were, if you start giving yellows for mouthing off to the referee, there's going to be 22 yellow cards per game, one per player, minimum, just for that reason. Should it change? Yeah. Maybe in theory, they're right. I agree. Respect should be shown. That's 100%. And we live in a politically correct situation. Even more than that, we live in a PG society now. It's not 1998 where swearing is cool. You can think you're cool if you swear. But it's not necessarily true. So in 2017, in a world with no privacy on the pitch, where there's HD cameras, 20 of them pointed at the field, at every inch of grass possible is caught on tape. Can't really hide. And yeah, Brian was right when he said if he was a player now, he would cover his mouth and he could say whatever he likes because then you have to prove it. Close to now being able to prove it. Anytime they want, they can, lip read, but soon you'll have microphone anywhere probably, and you will pick up conversations on the pitch, which will be shocking to some. But I guess it's the normal evolution of things. So why not be nicer to each other and help that situation? I agree in principle. I really, truly do. So we'll see if players, teams in general, changes their habits when it comes to swearing and mouthing at the referee. A lot of yellows for dissent in 2017. And I think it's just going to continue. With the reaction, this press release by Pro, it does indicate a strong reaction and a strong backing of Stoika's and EFTA's decision. So we'll see what happens next weekend when Major League Soccer play resumes. And when we have other topics to talk about than the referee. Speaking of other topics to talk about, Grant Wall on a Q&A on Twitter a few hours ago, yesterday actually, Grant Wall was asked about the potentially new stadium or the potential of having a new stadium in New England for the Revolution. And to the surprise of a lot of people were surprised. Well, he was kind of gave a positive response. Here's the actual excerpts from the Q&A. How can the New England Revolution supporters in Boston enable change and get a true soccer-specific stadium? And can MLS do anything? Question from @Sean Malvey on Twitter. Response from Grant Wall. From what I hear, the crafts are finally getting in gear, and we may not be too far away from an announcement on a stadium in the Boston area. It always helps to have support from local politicians, though, so you may want to register your thoughts on a stadium with them. But hey, maybe finally the crafts are turning around on the idea of getting a stadium done for the New England Revolution. And it's desperately needed. They desperately need a new stadium in the Boston area for the Revolution. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see if it takes less time than DC United. And that is the goal and the target right now. Get your stadium quicker than it took for DC. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with some more MLS news and soccer news.
You are listening to Soccer Today, live on SPN Radio. Visit sportspodcastingnetwork.com for more.
And we are back. I am Kevin Laramee. You can follow me on Twitter @KevLaramee and follow the show @Soccer Today. U.S. men's national team will try to get their first point in the fifth and final qualification round in the CONCACAF region for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. It continues March 24th. That's tomorrow night from Avaya Stadium in California, in San Jose, in the Bay Area. United States versus Honduras. Can the U.S. men's national team under Bruce Arena get their first points of the 2016-2017 hexagonal? Funny tidbit, Chris Wando joined the team. But the game's in San Jose, so why not? Maybe the Goonies makes an apparition for the U.S. men's national team and Wando gets a goal late just to, Wando Zalewski is such a nice guy. Like, from all accounts, he's a great player to deal with, to talk to. He's sweet. There's not 1 ounce of anger or bitterness in him. And people would hope that he's more angry and more fired up. And he's such a cool, level-headed guy. And it's kind of a shame that people give him flack for his miss with the U.S. national team still. But maybe it's time. Maybe it's time where Wando puts one against Honduras at his home stadium, at home, in front of his fans, friends, and family. Why not? Wando for the win. USA versus Honduras. Other games in the hexagonal, the Hex. when I used to be there for Canada. So Trinidad and Tobago versus Panama. It's going to be in Trinidad and Tobago in Port of Spain. Can Panama get result, continue on their run? Panama is one of the teams that are expected to maybe be a surprise qualifier for the World Cup of Russia. Mexico, Costa Rica, Azteca, and Mexico City. Can Costa Rica continue on their hex leading run? They did it to the States 4-0. Can they beat can they beat Mexico? At one of the worst places to play in North America, if not the world. One of those mythical giants that are still left in this world. Azteca is one of those. In all its intimidation, it has a soul. Azteca has an atmosphere. It creeps up on you. And when the 80th minute comes and you're leading and you have the potential of getting a result, the wall hits you. Floodgates open. And you're lucky if you come out of there with a draw. That's Azteca. How will Costa Rica deal with Azteca this time around, where Costa Rica seems to have the run of a generation going? Then we move on to next week, March 28th, said Panama, but versus the United States in Estadio Romel Fernandez in Panama City. How will the United States deal with the heat, the condition, with the back-to-back, with the result, or the tragedy of there was no result versus Honduras? If that happens, that'll be interesting. Honduras, Costa Rica. Costa Rica, 2 games on the road for Costa Rica. This is where Costa Rica either wins the hex or goes back down a few notches and comes back to reality. Honduras, Costa Rica. In San Pedro Sula. God, I hate that place. I ate that place. Not as I was hungry, more as in they really did score 8 goals against Canada. Oh, San Pedro Sula. And to finish off this round of games in the hex, Trinidad Tobago. I can't speak, man. Well, I'm going to say this morning. It's pretty much usually so. Trinidad and Tobago versus Mexico. Mexico, can they go to Port of Spain and get the result? There's a very high probability that will happen. But the games that are fascinating to me, there's 3. So out of those 6, 3 are key for not necessarily the United States, but for the results as a whole to the group. USA, Honduras, yes. Mexico, Costa Rica, and Panama, United States. Those 3 games will dictate if and what needs to be done by the U.S. to get a chance to come out of the hex. You either need to be top 3. Top 3 automatically qualifies for the World Cup of Russia, the 2018 FIFA World Cup. And right now, in first place, before this time around, this round of the hex, this round of game of the hex, Costa Rica with 6 points, 2 wins, 6 goals, 4 none against. Mexico 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 goals for, 1 goal against for a +1. Panama 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 goals for, 0 goals against for a +1 as well. Honduras 3 points, 1 win, 1 loss, 3 goals for, 2 goals against for another +1. Trinidad and Tobago in 5th, first spot outside of the qualified spot, because the first 3 again automatically qualified, and then the 4th spot plays against the Asia qualifier, and that there's a playoff, and the winner goes to Russia. Trinidad and Tobago right now is in a position where that would not be them in 5th position, and dead last of the hexagonal, the United States of America, 6, 0 points, 2 losses, 1 goals for, 6 goals against for a -5 differential. It's not too late. There is still time. But there's a gap. U.S. needs to not only win at Avaya Stadium against Honduras, but to start to overturn that differential, which could be key between either a playoff and a outright qualifier, or you don't get qualified, or a playoff. So, Honduras, United States, it's a big game. U.S. needs to at least score 3 and trying to keep the clean sheet so that their -5 becomes -2 and Honduras +1 becomes -2. That's how to do it for this round. If they can get that done in 1 or 2 games, I don't know yet. Panama is not going to be easy. But against Honduras, they kind of have to work on bridging that differential gap. And that will be key going forward because then they're going to need points. They're going to need 3 points from now on, depending on what Costa Rica, Mexico, and Panama does. But if things go chalk, U.S. will need a lot of points, luck, and some action going their way. Some good decision by Arena. Some bounces of the ball that turns out in the favor of the United States. A bad performance by Honduras is what the U.S. needs. I'm not sure we're going to get one out of Costa Rica, but we might, but I don't think so. But last year, when Costa Rica was hot, was in the heyday of Major League Soccer season, and at the end of it, and you do have some great players from Costa Rica playing in Major League Soccer that do take their form from Major League Soccer. Costa Rica might not be in the same form as of tomorrow and next week. It might be the time that Mexico takes over there because those players are in form in Mexico. That's where it all comes into question in CONCACAF too. It's not as easy as, oh, this team has this player, these teams have these players, who's best on paper, and they win. In CONCACAF, during this time of the year, depending on where you are, depending on not weather, but training condition, playing condition, where in your season you are, middle, beginning, end. The form obviously is not as acute and proven in the beginning of the season that it is at the end, fitness especially. Those are all things that will come into play in the CONCACAF Hex 5/10 final round of the qualifying for the World Cup. So for the United States, it's a big game. Bruce Arena, his first competitive game back as the manager of the U.S. men's national team. Can he bring 3 points to the program that right now desperately needs a 3-point? That is a tough question. That is what is needed. Can it be delivered? And that is the question. And that is the one thing we'll be looking forward when we watch those games is how does the United States play under Bruce Arena? Are they getting the result? Can they get the result amidst all the injuries, controversies, players not selected? Some of them are. We'll see if they can get the job done out of Avaya Stadium tomorrow night. Until tomorrow, 10 a.m. on the Sports Podcast Network. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Laramee and follow the show at Soccer Today SPN. Enjoy your international break. We'll come back tomorrow to talk more about U.S. men's national team, to talk about what's going on in the world of soccer, but especially the world of football with a soccer perspective. Until then, I'm Kevin Laramee, and have a great soccer. You were listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us, sportspodcastingnetwork.com.